So, hi, welcome to Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Grayson from Archers.
And some questions today about their upcoming EP, Temporary High. So, congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
It's been sick. It's always fun getting to announce stuff like that with new music because it's kind of like the hype of the new song plus the record plus pre-orders and vinyl and merch and all that stuff. So it's been really cool. Everybody seems stoked for it. 3 out of 5 songs are out, and next time new music comes out will be release day. So I'm stoked.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, obviously I've been checking out all the singles thus far. Checked out the EP when you sent it over. Dude, This is some of the best Archer stuff yet. I'm digging it for real.
It's awesome. Crazy. Yeah.
I love hearing that. That's awesome. Thank you, guys.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, of course. And is there any meaning behind the EP title or cover art?
Always with me. It all kind of stemmed from this recording process. If I ramble too much on this, you guys can come.
Dude, it's a podcast. Go
ramble
for it.
Away.
We got 6 hours until our next one.
Oh, sweet! I've got 6 hours of stuff to say, so we're good. But no, we all the thematics, at least for me anyway, all kind of stemmed from the recording process. The band up until that point had been working with the same producers, kind of in a groove of how we were making music. But then obviously things have changed so much since the last record that, new ideas were brought to the table, different things were talked about, and we ended up going to Arizona for about a month last July, and we recorded with Matt Good, who, if anybody knows, he's the man. And it was just a big learning experience. I mean, I think that the band definitely, it opened all of our eyes in different ways to different strengths, different weaknesses. It was also just a stressor being so far removed from our comfort zone and being so far away from home. It's an entirely different creative process. So it was actually really stressful making these songs, and that we walked away with an entirely different outlook on how stuff like this is made and different processes. And I think that we definitely walked away with something cool and something that it's been cool because, when you're in the thick of it and you're a part of the stressful part, you never really know how people are going to react to it. But people have been loving these songs, and and they're definitely different from stuff that we've done, but I think it's a good different. And so when it comes to the title and the artwork and everything, Temporary High, all of these songs are, breakup songs to some degree, and they can be applied to relationships, they can be applied to friendships, they can be applied to whatever. But it's kind of, I thought it was cool in Never Enough, that line about being on my temporary high or whatever. I was like, oh, that's a really cool way to kind of talk about that person. You know what I mean? That person was a good thing at one point, and obviously there was an end and they're not a part of your life anymore. But I thought that was really cool. And so that's kind of where my brain started turning. And I love having like double meanings to stuff. So like, even with all that I have left, there was a meaning that to all of the artwork and titles and stuff that related to the songs. But then there's also, I love kind of stamping where we are at that point in time as a band. And I know that we talked about that in our last interview. And for this one, it's like, this era has been so different and there's been so much change. And there's been, when we made the last EP, we had no team of any kind. Now we have, the wonderful people at SBG backing us. We have an incredible management team, an awesome lawyer, a great booking agent. We have all these things that really change how the gears move. And it can be really stressful. I'm somebody that does not deal with change well. It really freaks me out. And so we, to tie it into the record, it's like we have the relationship meaning, and then also it's like we were so nervous about this EP coming out that we knew that we were nervous about putting it out, but we knew that we wanted it to do well, and we wanted fans to like it, and we wanted fans to like it enough that we got the opportunity to make another one.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of where the meaning for the band comes from. It's like, we want these songs to come out. We want them to do well. We want fans to love them, but we also want to move on to that next chapter, and we don't want to stop here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
so that's really the title. And then the artwork, I really wanted to kind of change up our color scheme just because we've been doing a lot of the same things for a long time. And I think that it's good to kind of keep things fresh. And with everything else that makes this release so different, I thought, you know, making it stand out in a different way visually would be really cool. And so that's where the blue and green kind of came from. And the hourglass, it is perfect. It's purposely broken on the top. And obviously you can see the sand running to the bottom, and everybody knows that when the sand gets to the bottom, you're out of time.
Mhm.
But that's where the hands come in, and the hands are kind of a nod to the All That I Have Left artwork. The hands are pouring more sand into the bottom as a way, you know, we don't want time to stop. We want the band to keep going. We want to keep making these songs. But if you look even closer, the bottom even has some cracks and stuff to it. And it's like, you got to be careful. It's kind of, you know, you got to be careful with how you use that time. If you're wise, it'll be enough. If you're not wise, it'll crack and you'll run out and you'll be done. So there's a lot of different meanings with everything. I know I kind of rambled a lot, but I'm really proud of how it turned out. Our graphic designer, Ty Treher, knocked it out of the park. He basically, we did that cover in like 2 drafts. Like,
Damn.
we hopped on a phone call. I told him all my ideas. I told him where we were at. I told him how I kind of wanted it to have this double meaning. And he sent a first draft. I sent him the first list of edits, and then the artwork that everybody sees is what we got. So
Damn.
it's super cool. I genuinely love how it turned out.
That's awesome. I
Very
appreciate
impressive.
how much meaning and thought it went into the packaging, because, you know, when it comes to an EP in this day and age, it kind of feels like it's just a collection of songs, a collection of singles, and then it's titled one of the song names or whatever, and it is what it is. But, you know, you're paying attention to it almost as if it was like a full album.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just with the reality of the way that the industry works and how expensive it is to do these things, we've kind of been stuck in the EP game, which I think that you should put as much effort into 5 songs as you would 10 or 12, and
Absolutely.
it should be its own experience. And I love people that make analogies to albums as like timestamps. And we've been doing that, you know, and you know, obviously a full record is the goal, and that's something that we definitely want to do moving forward. But I think it'll be cool to kind of look back at the 4 EPs and see the difference in all of them, because they are so different visually, you know, sound wise. They're all kind of have their own unique touch. And it's cool because they're shorter. We get to put more out in a specific amount of time. I mean, we put a 2-song EP out last year, and it had its own title and its own artwork and its own thing. It's just, I love doing that. The band loves doing that. And I think I always think of something from a fan's perspective, because I love when my favorite bands, you can tell the thought was put into that stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you know, you can look at an album. I feel like album covers should be like book covers. You know what I mean? It should be thought provoking. It should make you want to pick it up and listen to it. And so yeah, it's a very important part of all this for me, for sure.
Damn
Absolutely.
straight.
Oh yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the writing process for the EP?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, like I said, it was stressful. We went in, and literally the first day, we were just kind of talking to Matt about what we wanted to do, elements that we wanted to keep from previous material, elements we didn't want to keep. And it literally, the first day, it just started with putting a guitar in Ben's hands, and the Better Off riff came from that first day. And it just kind of moved from there. There's a song that fans won't hear until release day called Crooked Smile that is my favorite song from the record. Both just how it sounds and also the creation behind that was so funny, because we literally came into the studio one day and Matt was like, you guys have we have a good thing going here, and there's good material and there's good songs, but you still need that one. He's like, you guys don't have that one that will really just like sell this record. He's like, you guys need your hit. And obviously, while we're talking, the song's not out, so we have no idea how it'll perform. But that song came together so fast that it literally, Nathaniel picked up an acoustic, found some chords, and we built that song pretty much in a day.
Damn. Yeah. And if you guys are going with it as presumably your focus track, everyone around you's feeling it's the strongest song on the EP as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Our team sent us kind of the label's idea for how we would roll the EP out. And I noticed that that wasn't a single. And I was like really confused. I was like, why is this not getting pushed to the forefront? And as the singles have rolled out, I've really, obviously they're the team and they make the decisions for a reason, because I really like that. I like that we're not giving everything away super soon. And I think that the single rollout has been really strong, and it's given songs like Never Enough and Better Off their time to shine. Because I do think when the EP comes out, it's going to be Crooked Smile all day, but that's just my guess.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys went down to work with Matt Good. Like, were there any sort of ideas? Because it sounds like you did all the writing in the studio. Were there ideas floating, or was it just blank slate? We got studio time. We're gonna go figure it all out there.
There were no musical ideas, as far as like, we didn't bring any demos. We didn't bring. Nathaniel might have had some like melodies and stuff laying around, but really, I mean, Matt and I had a conversation before we went down there, and really before we even decided to go with him. We were just talking about music and what we like, and I was talking to him about, this was before Precious Space was out, and I was like, yeah, we have these 2 songs that are really sick, and I'd love to build off those. And so there was kind of an idea of what we wanted to do, and really every day was different. Some days it would start with, you know, like I said, Ben getting a guitar in his hand and a riff coming up. So maybe Matt would have some ideas. I know that Nathaniel's really started taking the instrumental side just as seriously as he takes vocals, and Wide Awake is actually an instrumental that he made in our Airbnb, that he made like the bones of, and then we kind of tore it apart and put it back together with Matt. Some days we literally just listen to bands that we liked, and we're like, oh, this would be a cool thing to pull. This would be a cool thing to pull. So it was so different. And I think that's why this EP kind of sounds different as a whole. There wasn't really like a solid, you know, straight shot idea as to what we would do. It was kind of just whatever we felt happened. And it was cool because we had the time. We were there for 3.5 weeks or something, and all we had time to do was sit and think about the EP. So, yeah.
Hell yeah, love it.
Hell yeah, that works. So what song off the EP took the longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Longest to write? I don't know. They all took a decent amount of time. Sometimes you hear about, like, you know, bands will go to the studio and they go in with 30 songs and come out with 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
We definitely didn't have that. We had a couple ideas that we never finished, but really these 5 songs took pretty much the whole time. I can't think of which one took the longest. I'd gotta say maybe Safe Now, probably, just because there's so many different layers and stuff. And I know that there were a couple different vocal ideas for that song, so maybe that. And then Crooked Smile's my favorite by a long shot. I love that song.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So for this question, I want you to pick your favorite lyric off the EP and tell us the meaning behind it.
Going back to Crooked Smile, there's a lyric that is, I'm only keeping what I can't live without.
Okay.
And I think that's a really cool, I love the thought-provoking stuff. I'm also a big sucker for the sad stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that that's also just a really cool way to kind of wrap. That's why I fought really hard to have that song be a closer. It's because I feel like that's really kind of the, you know, if it was, you know, the last episode of Hannah Montana, she's closing the door and she's walking away. You know what I mean? Like that's
it's a crazy, yeah.
It's a crazy analogy.
Sick, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
So that's kind of what I was going for with that. And I love that it kind of ends with just those vocals. I think that people listening from track 1 to track 5 are going to have a really cool experience. But yeah, we even, you know, one of the pre-order shirts has those lyrics on it. I think that's a really, really cool line. And normally the coolest lyrics Nathaniel comes up with is when he goes into the booth, he's like, yeah, I kind of have this thing. I don't really know how it goes. And I vividly remember him tracking the rough vocals for Crooked Smile. All of us were like, this is sick. Like, where is this coming from? This is so sick. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's probably my favorite line. Or I love that the word temporary actually gets used in 2 songs on this record, which it's such a weird word. It's used in Never Enough with the temporary high reference. It's also right before the first chorus and Better Off, Oscar screams, "This isn't temporary." So I think that's a good second and third place.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
That's great. And would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating this EP?
Stressed, so stressed. It
Stress,
was very
yeah.
stressful. Um, there was just a lot of pressure not being with our previous producers, and kind of having them to lean on just because we knew each other's style so well.
Mhm.
There was a lot of pressure, for everybody, but really something that I was really stressing about is, I didn't want to let our team down. We have this whole army of people really backing the band and being, kind of putting their seal of approval on it, and that means a lot to me, and that means a lot to the rest of the guys. And it's so nerve wracking sending demos off because
Mhm.
they're demos, so they already sound really bad. But it was stressful. I'm not gonna lie. And if you talk to anybody in the band, it was an extremely stressful process. But I've really, especially over time, I've really learned to kind of love that part of it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, and Matt really put us through the ringer as he should have as a producer. We were a very young band that didn't have experience like that didn't know how to be maybe the most prepared in some settings or the most professional in others, or you know maybe some of us worded some things wrong, or we learned a lot. And I really think that we grew up a lot in these
Mhm.
sessions. And I think that, um, moving on to whatever material we do after this, we're going to think about that Arizona trip every single time we get into a studio, just because there's things that we want to replicate from those sessions, and there's things that we hope we're never in those situations again, or we feel those ways, or all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Huge learning experience.
Massive. I mean, massive learning experience for sure.
That's great.
So
Hell yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, and not just in negative ways. I mean, there were a ton of positive learning experiences too. I don't want to make it sound like it was just this like dreadful, horrible process, but it was just, like I said, I don't deal with change well, so any change freaks me out. But there
Yeah.
were, crazy positive things that we learned too. It wasn't just like stressful and, oh, we maybe should have showed up with more riffs or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
we learned a lot on how to be a real band in that session. So, and that's only going to help us moving forward. You know what I mean? And it's
Mhm.
nice that fans like the material. I think we would maybe not have such a positive outlook if the fans were like, "What the hell is
What's
this?"
up?
You know what I
What's
mean?
going
Like,
on here?
They went away for 3 weeks and they came back with this.
yeah, exactly.
Don't
Like,
do it
what's in the
again.
water in Arizona? Like, what's happening? But no, I mean, fans are loving it, and that makes me really happy because if they love it enough, we'll get to do another and then another. So I'm stoked.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's so special.
You're also
Yeah.
headlining off the back of it, so there's a little bit more pressure to
Yeah.
there as well.
Yeah, I mean that's another big thing is we've done a lot of headliners as a DIY band, but this is our first true. I mean, same lineup throughout the entire thing. We have a great lineup that we handpicked.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
support's crazy.
yeah, dude, so sick. I'm gonna be in the crowd every night as a fan.
Yeah.
So, like,
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna
Hell
be
yeah.
watching Rivals, and somebody's like, "Dude, you play in 10 minutes. You got to stretch." I'm like, "Oh, crap!" Like,
shit.
Oh, one more song, one
I'll
more
just
song.
stretch right
Yeah.
here. It's fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll stretch in the crowd. I don't care. I'm gonna watch. I'm so excited, and I'm so happy that the lineup worked out the way it did. And I think that
Mhm.
fans are really stoked for that lineup. I think that it's one of those bills that we see often, but not enough. Where it's like if you're a fan of one of these bands, you're going to be a fan of all of them,
Mhm.
and you can
Absolutely.
really show up from the time doors open to the time we play our last song, and you're in for a show the entire time. And I think it'll also be cool because yeah, it's our first like true headliner. We're doing a VIP for the first time. There's all these fancy things, but the rooms are still fairly small, so it's going to be fairly intimate. We're not bringing out any crazy production or anything. It's going to be us, a banner, a stage, and the crowd,
Mhm.
which I
Yeah.
think, those are always some of my favorite shows that I've ever gone to.
Yeah. Me too.
So it's going to be really fun. I can't wait. I'm nervous. It's the longest set we've ever played. I really hope I don't need like an oxygen mask side stage or anything, but
Yeah.
I think it'll be a good
Wheezing.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I
Are
love
we,
how
are we
just
coming anywhere close to you guys?
Yeah, I'll be at Philly. It's already on my calendar.
is there,
Sweet.
oh, hell yeah. Is there a Virginia date? I just kind
Yeah,
of
Richmond.
hell yeah. Oh,
Yeah, we're
Richmond's
playing the
like
Canal Club.
oh, I love Canal Club. That's like 2 hours from me.
You gotta go,
Oh,
bro.
wow.
I'll see what I can do. Don't
Yeah.
write it off yet. Don't write it off
Absolutely.
yet.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I just want to say I love how just passionate and excited you are about like every aspect of music. We talk to a lot of bands and artists when we bring up like tour packages or, just processes overall for the writing and whatnot. And I feel like nonchalant is like the best word to use to describe a lot of their attitudes. Obviously not everybody, but it's very nice to see just how energetic and excited and passionate you are just about the tour packages and everything covering the record. So just want to shout that out. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
I appreciate you noticing. It really just comes from we've really busted our ass for this. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
we
Yeah.
were we were a band that nobody on the industry side really wanted to mess with for
Mm.
the longest time.
Mhm.
And now we have some really great, not only great as people, but very notable people in the industry backing us that are like, no, this band actually could have something. And I'm not ever going to act like we're the best band in the world. I'm not the best drummer in the world. We don't have the best guitar players. We're not writing the best songs. Clearly,
Mhm.
these aren't massive hits, but it's really cool that there's this core group of people that really like what we do, that whenever we're in their city, they want to come out. And that's where,
Mhm.
when I was talking about the artwork earlier, it's like, I think of so many aspects of this band I'm thinking of from a fan's perspective, because
Absolutely.
I'm still such a massive fanboy. Like, I got a newsletter email from one of my favorite bands literally 5 minutes before I hopped on this call, and I was like, yeah. But
I
like
love that
I
shit.
I
Yeah.
get so stoked about it, and I never want to lose that side. Like, I'll always be a fan
Absolutely.
first. It doesn't matter if I'm playing to 5 people, 5,000, whatever. It's like,
Mhm.
we're all like, that's the other thing, is the more you get in the industry, the more, maybe people who aren't super close to it think that these people are all these like super cool rock stars and everybody's so mysterious. Like, dude, the amount of bands that are just playing Magic the Gathering in their RV behind the venue,
Yup.
it's like we're all a bunch of nerds. Like, nobody needs to act better than anybody. And, I mean, not gonna lie, there's times where it's a lot harder to be excited about being in a band. There's a lot of ups and
Of course.
downs, and, the further you get into it, there's more downs. But
Mhm.
when it comes to talking about a release, it's like, yeah, you're literally holding your hard work, and
Mhm.
people are being like, I like this, and it's so cool, and that's what my favorite bands were to me. So to be that for anybody else means the world, and I'm glad that you noticed that. That's cool.
Damn straight.
Hell yeah.
Of course. Mhm.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this EP for the first time? Should you do in the car with friends and dark with headphones on? Is workout EP, party EP? What do you personally recommend?
For the first time listening to it, I'm always a in the dark with headphones person. I really like digesting everything. With this only being 5 songs and 3 already being out, you don't really have to pay too close attention.
Mhm.
I do think that the track list order is a really cool way to listen to it. Obviously, we have Safe Now in the middle, Crooked Smile at the end. Um, you, I think it'll be a great gym release, especially starting off with like Better Off and getting into Never Enough and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, front to back is always, for the first listen, is always my preference.
Oh yeah.
Damn straight. And this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this EP for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Pretty freaking cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Pretty
cool.
freaking cool.
Yeah.
Just cool.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the EP?
I don't know if this is like a emotion, but I want there to be a sense of relatability. Like, I want people to, whoever, if they're going through something that they can attach to in these songs, I want them to recognize that, and recognize that they're not the only ones going through that. I know that's like super cliche to say nowadays, but really it's like everybody, and the more that you talk to people, everybody's really kind of going through the same thing, oddly enough, at almost the same time.
Mhm.
But by that last song, it's like, you know what, like, I didn't need that person, and I'm just as capable of living my life and doing the things that I want to do as I was before I met them. And
Mhm.
I don't want my sense of self to be based on somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah, damn straight. And are you able to touch on any particularly challenging or standout moments during the creation of the EP, positive or negative?
Yeah, I mean, we've touched on how challenging it was. I think that um, just something that comes to mind that isn't really about the creation of the music, but more or less, I remember being in the van either at the end, I can't remember if it was the end of the Asking tour or the beginning of the Catch Your Breath tour, when we got that final art. And it was like,
Hmm.
that was the last piece of the puzzle to make this its own thing. I think it was the Catch
Yeah.
Your Breath tour.
Mhm.
And seeing it all come together visually, because that's always the last part, it was like, man, this is actually, that's when, the perspective starts turning. And it's like, yeah, that was really stressful and really difficult. And it was really hard at sometimes. But like now, and we got the label sent over the CDs not too long ago, and I got to hold it and look at it and like,
Oh,
wow, like, it's
yeah.
really cool from like an art perspective, like looking at something that was only an image in my head before we worked with the designer on it. Or
Mhm.
the vinyl packaging is also something that's going to be really cool. And Seeing, the first things fans got to see was the tour ad mat that was based around the album art, and like it's just cool. That's my favorite part because it makes it so much more real. It's like when you have these songs, even if you have your masters back and you're listening to the final tracks, if it's in like a Drive folder or a Dropbox folder, it's like there's nothing. At least for me, I'm a very visual person. Like there's nothing to see here. I can listen to the songs all day, but like really seeing it come together in a physical aspect is always something that I'll remember. And I remember being in the van when the final version of the EP art got sent to me, and I was like, "God, you have to look at this!" And Ty, our designer, did something really cool where instead of just sending me a square photo, he mocked it up as a vinyl for the first time, and I was like, "This is crazy!" It's so sick. But yeah, that's something that I remember for sure.
That's dope.
Damn
Hell
straight,
yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And for the last couple of questions, going to shift completely away from music. So, if you could be one animal for the rest of your life, what animal would you be and why?
A ring-tailed lemur because they're sick.
You had that on lock, bro.
Yeah, it was locked and loaded, dude.
Yeah, they're so sick. They have like the cool black eyes. I don't know, they're rad.
That
or
like
like
King
maybe
Julian?
Yes, King Julian.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yep. I want a little Mort with me and everything.
Exactly. I feel like it comes with it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, damn straight. And if you could have lunch with any celebrity or artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, man, that's crazy. There's so many. And there's a lot for different reasons. Like, I'd love to talk to, I don't know, sit down with somebody like Chris Evans and talk about the MCU. I'd love to sit and talk. I'd love to talk with like one of the original members of Kiss. I'm wearing a Kiss shirt. I'm a huge Kiss fan. I recently, on the Catch Your Breath tour, we were playing down the street from the building that Kiss met in for the first time.
Oh shit!
And so like and I like went and saw it because I'm a dork, and I was just like staring at this building that has like a deli under it and stuff. But I'm like, it's cool to think about. It's like, man, these four guys walked into this building and like literally changed music forever after that first day. So it'd be really cool to talk about that. My favorite band in the world is Black Veil. So sitting down with Andy for lunch or coffee or something and just picking his brain. A lot of what I contribute to the band from a visual side is stuff that I learned being a fan of that band. So that would be super cool. I'm trying to think if there's anybody dead that would be cool. Probably like Elvis or someone. I'm not the biggest Elvis fan, but I think somebody whose life is that extravagant and that different from like the normal experience is really interesting. So that'd be probably something that I would enjoy.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And for this last question, boom, you're on Desert Island. You can bring one movie, one album, and one person. Who and what are you bringing?
Movie right now, I'd probably bring Sinners just because I'm on a big Sinners kick. I've seen it 3 times. I think it's incredible.
I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it so bad.
Oh, it's absolutely insane. Like, I can't even say anything about it. It's just one of the best movies I think that have ever been made.
This is a rare occurrence where someone names a current movie, and I did see it.
Exactly. Usually it's me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's so good. If I was gonna bring a classic, it'd probably be like, I don't know. I just rewatched the original Lilo and Stitch and like literally almost cried the entire time. Like, why is this movie so emotionally intelligent for kids? Like, this is nuts.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Album is gonna be the hard one. If I could only listen to one album for the rest of my life, I have no idea. I have no idea. The album ones, is that the one that people normally struggle with the most?
Typically.
Or is that normally pretty easy?
Yeah, it's typically pretty hard.
I have no clue. I really, if we're going to keep things current, I really like the new Sleep Theory album.
Okay.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I don't know. So maybe that. I don't know. Album's hard. If you look at my on repeat playlist on Spotify, it is so ridiculously all over the place.
That's good, yeah.
And then person, I'd probably bring my mom. She's pretty cool. Just hang with her.
Hell yeah.
Shout out moms.
All right.
Yeah, moms are sick.
Shout out moms. So as I said, that's all the questions I have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Listen to the EP when it comes out. We put a lot of hard work into it. It put a lot of gray hair on my head. But I think it's super sick, and I think that fans are really going to enjoy it. If we're coming to a city near you, whether we've got Europe coming up, Temporary High tour in July, we're touring with Nothing More for like the first 3 months of next year. Come say hi. If you see any of us at a show, always stop us. We love talking to everybody. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think that's about it.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you. It's been Grayson from Archers, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.